What's happening, guys? It's Matt Ogusfit here, Ramadan Kareem, to all my Muslim brothers and sisters around the world. I probably butchered that word. Anyways, I just wanted to make this video for all of people who've been reaching out, just asking for advice for this period of time from, let me look at the date real quick. What was Friday? June 26th to July 24th. This is the holy period of Ramadan, where those who practice the Islamic faith are spending extra time devoting themselves spiritually, spending extra time praying, extra time doing good deeds and purifying their thoughts, and just self-reflection, prayer, like I said, and devoting themselves to, their God. So this is also a period of time for those who like the fitness lifestyle, like bodybuilding. Maybe it's their first Ramadan that you're experiencing while being, a weightlifter, or someone who likes to train in the gym. It's a difficult period because there are certain things that are mandatory, such as from sunup to sunset. You're fasting, and not just not eating food, but not drinking any water. Completely mandatory. So that switches things up. It makes it a little more difficult. It throws in a wrench because then a lot of people are not too sure when they should train, whether they should train at all, how should they train. What should their goals be? If they're trying to bulk, should they keep trying? Should they give up? And so on. So I wanted to make this video to hopefully help you guys. And I'm glad I'm making this. I wasn't sure if I was going to make this. The last 2 days I've been doing a lot of research myself, trying my best to educate myself and find people that are Muslim that have went through multiple Ramadans. And I haven't found too many people, but I found some. And here in this video is what I found. Seems to work best for some people. So there's going to be three main things we're going to talk about, I believe. The first is going to be nutrition in terms of like cutting and bulking. The second is going to be balancing your circumstances and how that's going to affect training and your goals. And the third, training itself. I'm going to switch up this order. I'm going to talk about nutrition first, guys. When it comes to nutrition, don't worry so much about the fasting period in terms of like slowing down your metabolism or causing you to lose muscle mass. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is your total macronutrient intake, your total caloric intake, and how that rolls from one day to the next, and how you do that on a week-to-week basis. So as long as you're consuming enough calories, you're going to maintain your body weight. If you're consuming more calories than you're burning, you're going to increase your body tissue. If you are burning more calories than you're consuming, you'll decrease body tissue. So that's really all you really need to worry about in terms of that. If you don't know your macros, if you don't know your calories, you could watch my 2 YouTube videos, Nutrition 101 Calories, Nutrition 101 Macros. Figure out your caloric and macronutrient goals based on your goal in terms of body composition. That said, life happens, and we know that. Especially during this period, I can imagine that those who live with family are going to be going and having family meals, and you don't really have control over what's put in the food, how much oil's in it, what food choices are. You may be able to control your portions, and that will be your only control, really. You may not be able to control, how much grilled chicken, how much white rice, and how much broccoli you eat. You'll end up just getting, what your mom cooks, or what your neighbor cooks, or what your aunt cooks, your grandma cooks. So deal with what you got. Try to make the best choices to keep yourself within the calorie goal that you might have, and try your best to just hit calories and protein. During this period, I'm sure that you'll end up, probably eating fattier foods than normal. You may not be able to hit the right amount of fats that you might have as your goal. So go for that calorie and protein goal in however many meals you see best fit for yourself. I'd recommend probably a meal to break the fast, obviously a meal just before you begin the fast, and then the rest of the calories and macros can be put however you see fit, however you best would like that. If you have a large caloric intake, I definitely recommend liquid calories, especially like whey protein, especially like Gatorades, especially as you break your fast. Hit those Gatorades or hit some, drink lots of water, perhaps with something like sea salt or something with electrolytes so that you can better hydrate yourself. Gatorade definitely does the job there. Count those macros if you're counting macros. But hydration, of course, is going to be super important on the nutrition side. So that's really all you need to worry about in terms of nutrition, guys. Fasting for the day is something that a lot of people do all the time. Now, granted, fasting for Ramadan also involves not drinking any water, which is way more difficult than not eating any food. So, hats off, respect. That covers nutrition. To be completely honest, guys, as long as you are consuming all your calories and consuming all your carbs in, even if you do have to train fasted, in terms of glycogen itself, I wouldn't be too worried about like empty glycogen stores. I wouldn't be too worried about, am I getting enough, carbs in? If I'm training late at night, if I only got 1 or 2 meals in or X amount of carbs in, wouldn't worry too much about it as long as you're getting your total goal calories and carbs on a regular day-to-day basis. So don't really worry too much about that as long as you got calories, macros covered, or at least calories and protein covered. 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. For most people, that's perfect. You need to get your macros and calories. Watch my 2 videos, guys. Next, we have training. I think right after this, I'll include a little section that I just recorded about just how, really honestly, how difficult fitting training is into, while you're practicing Ramadan. But for now, let's talk about training. For the most part, do not, spend this time trying to hit new PRs in the gym in terms of new volume PRs, new 1 rep maxes, 5 rep maxes, any sort of maxes. This should definitely be a period of training where you actually decrease your volume a little bit. I would focus mostly on just strength maintenance to the best of your ability, and definitely do not train to failure. I would focus mostly on full body workouts, possibly 2 to 3 times a week, or if you have the best circumstances possible, which not too many people are going to have, 3 to maybe 4 workouts a week. And maybe if that person's doing 4 workouts a week, they may do upper lower. But for most people, 2 to 3 workouts a week, full body type workouts. It's going to depend on your circumstances, which I will drop you guys. Well, I'll explain in just a minute. But I know a lot of different people are going to have different circumstances in terms of when they have to train. Some people have to train really dehydrated just before they break their fast. And especially for these guys and gals, you might be careful to train certain movements, such as, say, deadlifts, where you're very dehydrated and you're at a lot of risk for injury. You may still be able to squat and definitely do a pushing exercise, a pulling exercise, a leg exercise, and maybe a little bit of accessory. But for the most part, I would recommend full body workouts of just maybe 4 to 6 exercises max, and doing less volume than normal for sure, and just trying to maintain intensity to the best of your ability. So, you normally do, say, 3 sets of 6 on the bench press with 225, or maybe let's just say you're doing 4 sets of 6 with bench press 225 in normal workouts. I might maybe even drop the weight just a little bit, maybe to 220, and do 2 to 3 sets of 5. So I might cut like a rep off the set, drop one set, and try maybe drop the weight just a little bit, and try to keep that. That's maintaining quite a large portion of the intensity that you normally train at. I definitely would not train, especially, okay, so if you were training just before breaking the fast, I would not train with like super high rep ranges. I wouldn't be doing tons of intense cardio. You could still do low intensity cardio even during your fasting period if that's required for you to hit your weight loss goals. But to be honest, this Ramadan period, if you were going to be practicing weight loss goals, could easily be flexed through nutrition control, macro control. But then, of course, do you have the ability to control your macros? Are you able to actually track these things? Some people may not if they live with their families, and you are quite literally forced to eat what your mom cooks. So it just depends. So yeah. So I hope that covered training. Like I said, guys, don't focus on hitting new PRs. Just try to maintain strength. Dial it back just a little bit. Try to maintain the same total, like this generally about the same intensity, but don't hit failure, guys. Dial a set back here and there. Pick your top 4 to 6 exercises to work your whole entire body or so. Maybe 3 to 5 exercises, to be honest, like a squat, bench, row, pull up. Maybe on the next workout, like a squat, overhead press, row, pull down, something like that. So maybe skip the arms. They're not going to really shrink too much. Maintain strength on some of your core favorite lifts. If you are training during the nighttime and you are able to recoup sleep, whether it's during the day, then perhaps you could train a little bit differently, maybe even deadlift if you were able to get the proper hydration in. And yeah. All right, so I wanted to include a little bit more about Ramadan to help those partaking to, help them decide based on their circumstances, since everyone's going to have different circumstances. And also to let my non-Muslim subscribers, get a feel for what the day would be like if you were practicing Ramadan. And yeah, so hopefully we can all learn something from this and better understand each other, better love each other. So there are basically 5 formal prayers per day. And I'm actually going to try to pronounce them to the best of my ability. So if you lived where I live right now, you would wake up before 4:14 a.m. for the Fajr, F-A-J-R prayer, which is the pre-dawn prayer, to start the day off. So you'd wake up at 4:14 before 4:14 a.m., do your prayer, and either eat and then go back to sleep, or go back to sleep and then eat just before sunrise happens, because that is the cap, that's the limit. You try to get as much water in as possible before that. I'm sure some people might find the best time of the day might be to train, maybe between that 4:20 or 4:25 a.m. to that maybe 5:30, and try to spend those last 15 minutes rehydrating and eating a lot of food. So there actually is a decent amount of time in there to actually get a nice solid 45-minute to an hour session in if you lived really close to the gym. So that could be one time of day that might suit some people. And I was talking to Chris Elkins, and he said that some of his clients either had to work out either crazy late at night or crazy early in the morning, like 4:30 a.m. And a lot of the people I found online if they didn't work out crazy late at night, crazy early in the morning, they were working out not completely, but really dehydrated, just before breaking their fast. And that was the best time for them. So once again, you have that 4:14 a.m. prayer. 5:44 a.m. this time is when the sunrise happens. And then noon is the next prayer. It's called, I'm going to butcher this, Dhuhr, Dhuhr. So that's the second prayer. And there's another prayer around 4:57 p.m. Called Asr. It's the late afternoon prayer. And you also pray again at sunset. I'm assuming just before you break your fast, which is Maghrib. And then again, at about an hour and a half after you break your fast is Isha, and that happens around 9:50 p.m. Now, I've found online that a lot of people that were talking about Ramadan or giving advice about Ramadan weren't really taking into account or saying anything about these prayer times. And I was like, whoa! And not just that, and if they were, a lot of people were also forgetting that a lot of Muslim individuals will go to the mosque after Isha. So even after their 9:50 prayer, they'll go for the prayer of Taraweh. I probably absolutely butchered that, but it's basically where you go to the mosque and another group, a congregation style of prayer will go on at the mosque that could last, depending on the imam, maybe 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So for those who might have wanted to train late at night, if they're going to the mosque, they might not get home until 11:30 for a nice 11:30 or midnight workout. And don't forget, they gotta wake up for a 4:14 a.m. prayer again. Now I'm sure you could get some more sleep in after after getting the last hydration, the last meal in before the 5:44 a.m. sunrise. But wait, what did I just say? I totally just forgot. But you can get more sleep in after the sunrises for sure. But a lot of people have daily lives going on. A lot of people have to go to school, go to work, etc. So a lot of people are end up getting a nice 3.5 hours of sleep there, and then they'll try to get another maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep after sunrise occurs and the fast begins. No drinking water for the rest of the day. So as you can see, quite often if you not to mention this also, for the person who's training, I can't imagine how many times you're going to be waking up to pee at night. Since especially if you're training at nighttime, or heck, any time of the day, you're trying to pound in as much water and hydration as possible during that that feeding window. I have to pee 1 to 2 hours per night, and that's without me drinking before I go to bed even. I can't imagine how many times someone who's actually practicing Ramadan is going to end up going to pee. So that's another thing we need to consider when we're trying to understand someone and their experience of being someone who lifts weights in Ramadan. I have a really small bladder. I know that I would be waking up all night. My sleep would be destroyed. I'm not the best sleeper in that sense. And it'd be tough for me to go back to sleep between 6 and 12 a.m., but I try my best. I'm lucky that I do not have things going on in the morning that I would have to attend to, but I'm sure some people would. So as you can see, guys, there's a lot of these different factors you have to factor in. The fact that you might be spending time with family, you might be going to the mosque, you have to pray 5 times a day. Fitting in that training session, the best time to train is going to vary from person to person. I know a lot of people probably at Maghrib, basically when you break the fast, a lot of people probably might be spending time with family. They won't be able to go, to the gym between, say, almost 9 o'clock to 9:30 or 9:45, so that they get home for the prayer Isha. That would be a great time for a lot of people to get a training session in. Granted, they only have like maybe 15 minutes, 20, 30 minutes of pre-workout hydration. Of course, keep on hydrating during the workout. Pound, Gatorades if they fit the macros. Liquid protein shakes as soon as you can break your fast. If you live on your own and you're not, you're not having to partake in family dinners and stuff like that. So as you can see, it's going to vary from person to person hugely. So the person who lives at home is going to have different options available to them. Less options available to them most likely. The person who's going to the mosque will have also less options available to them, more circumstances that they have to consider of when they're putting this workout. What are they sacrificing? Is it even worth it? Et cetera, et cetera. So, at the end of the day, I guess my other thing is, go ahead and try your best to do your best, but I'm sure that those practicing Ramadan have a greater priority than the training and the fitness and the nutrition. So I guess that's all I have to say about that. If you're wondering what is the best time for you to train, it's definitely going to be dependent on your circumstances. Like I said, for most people, it seems the best time might be right after the early morning prayer, while staying really hydrated, as hydrated as possible. That's assuming that you can get home on time to spend time with family if you're with family for a breakfast. So you got to be pretty snappy with that. Otherwise, it seems the best time to train for other people might be after Isha, assuming that you're not at the mosque, and then if you do go to the mosque, then perhaps directly after that. But then you're sacrificing sleep. Otherwise, between breaking your fast, Maghrib, and your Isha prayer, that may be the best time for you to lift. And I've seen firsthand experience from other practicing Muslims that for them, training just an hour or so before breaking their fast was the best time for them in their circumstances, despite not having drank any water throughout the entire day up to that point. So, like I said, man, it just depends on you, what you prefer, and what you got going on. Obviously, I think the willpower is the biggest thing here, but of course, try to make the smartest decisions possible. Be very careful, be very careful regardless. You're most likely going to be at a either somewhat or very like you're dehydrated compared to normal, that's for sure. Lift according to the guidelines I gave. Decrease your total volume. Kind of spend this month just to maintain yourself. I definitely would not recommend trying to bulk or trying to shred too much, especially since your sleep will be affected. Your training will most likely probably be affected if you're not getting as much sleep, especially if you're not as hydrated for your training sessions. I think for a lot of people, it's probably a better idea to just try to maintain as best as possible and maybe cut at different times of the year. Unless, of course, you have a ton of body fat, then I could see that this would actually be a great time, an opportunity for you to cut, since it would be really easy to, if you can control your macros, assuming, say, you're not living at home and you have to eat family meals. So I would say that the more body fat you have, so the more overweight you are, and the less you've been training in terms of years, the less advanced you are, the more newbie you are to training, the more I would take this opportunity as a chance to try to shred as much body fat as possible, regardless of the training itself, but mostly just through the nutrition aspect, calories in versus calories out. When it comes to the training thing, if the person who's been training for a really long time, in that circumstance, let's say you've been training for 5 to 10 years, should you spend this time shredding? It's debatable. I would recommend using this time to maintain and shredding at a different time. Save the shredding for the person who doesn't have as much muscle, who has a lot more body fat, doesn't have quite as great as body composition as you. So I guess that's that, guys. I could kind of go on and on, but I really honestly just made this video to better understand, to better just to be there, and understand, and hopefully maybe you guys got something from this. And hope you enjoyed it. This is the first video I've put up in a really long time, but I've been getting a lot of people asking me about Ramadan, and I wanted to say something about it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and yeah. Oh, and the last thing I will say is definitely check out my fat loss program, which is releasing very soon. Link in the description box, sixpackshredding.com or mattogus.com, and sign up, and I'll let you guys know as soon as it's available. All right. Thank you guys so much. See you soon.